Today is our anniversary.
Can't you tell by where we are? This is where we celebrate our anniversary every year at a cemetery. Well, not really every year, but... All right, happy anniversary to us. It's December 16th. Actually, if you guys are watching it on the first day we put it out, you're watching it on December 17th because we got to take it back, edit it, and get it ready. We're in Rose Hill Cemetery in Macon, Georgia. We are here to check out the graves of the Allman Brothers. So this is pretty exciting for us, big fans of the Allman Brothers, and are excited to check out their graves with you guys. And we cordially invite you to come along.
Come along.
4 of the 6 original members of the Allman Brothers Band have died, and all 4 of them are buried here. This is a cemetery the band spent a lot of time at over the years. They had pictures taken here for albums, they hung out and wrote music here. They even got inspiration from various headstones for some of their songs. This is the band's own little private part of the cemetery. There are no graves directly along this path. For Greg Allman's funeral on June 3rd, 2017, thousands of fans showed up here, even though the ceremony was a private family event. Fans were allowed to gather throughout the cemetery up on the hills to get a look at the service. On the news that night, a reporter pointed out how quiet and respectful all the fans were who came here to show their respects. The entire area is now gated, where the 4 band members have been laid to rest. Let's take a walk up these stairs here to get a look at the graves. The first grave here is Butch Trucks. Butch became friends with Greg and Duane Allman when they were all teenagers in Florida. He started learning the drums in 8th grade and was a member of his high school band. Greg and Duane saw him playing a show in Daytona Beach and asked him to play a show with them. And 3 years later, they formed the Allman Brothers Band. The band didn't try to write big radio hits. They were all about the live show. They like to say they were hitting the note when everything was going right on stage. Butch said, hitting the note is reaching that point where you can't do any wrong. With us, when we're playing music, it's where the brain goes away and the body just does what it's supposed to do. They often hit the note in their live performances. Rolling Stone magazine named Butch as one of the top 10 rock drummers of all time. At the time of his death, he was having financial troubles, mainly with the IRS. He sold his Palm Beach home that he loved for about half of what it was probably worth, and the IRS had liens of more than $540,000 on his condo. He shot himself in front of his wife of 25 years on January 24th, 2017 at their condo in Florida.
The next grave is Greg Allman. He definitely lived a rock star life. Got famous young, got heavily into drugs, and started drinking at a young age. Was married 7 times, including to Cher, for several years, and had to get a liver transplant in his later years. Through it all, he helped create the first great American Southern rock band. Greg and Duane were raised by their mom after their father was killed by a crazed hitchhiker when Greg was just over a year old. They were sent to military school and hated it, so much so that when Greg became eligible for the draft, he shot himself in the foot on purpose to avoid the Vietnam War. Greg wrote the majority of the band's biggest hits, including Midnight Rider, Whipping Post, and Melissa.
The next grave is Duane Allman. He was the band leader for the band. In July 1971, the band put out one of the greatest live rock albums of all time called At Fillmore East. They had been touring almost every day for a few years and were ready for a break. During the break, just 3 months after the release of the live album, as it reached gold status, Duane died in a motorcycle accident here in Macon. The issue of Billboard magazine that came out at that time had a story about the album going gold and a story about Duane's death in the same issue. Duane Allman was only 24 years old.
The final grave here is bassist Barry Oakley's. The crazy thing is, he died in almost the same exact way as Duane, and it happened just barely over a year later. On November 11th, 1972, He ran into a city bus on his motorcycle within walking distance of where Duane's accident happened at. For over 40 years, this fenced-in area right here used to be much smaller.
That's because only Duane Allman and Barry Oakley were buried here. But in 2017, starting in January, there were 2 more deaths that were added here. Of course, that being Greg and Butch Trucks right over here. So at that point, these graves were just sitting out in the open for fans to get to. So a group of fans got together, and actually they raised money themselves to pay to have this entire fenced-in area added on to, so it could surround the other 2 graves as well. Over here we can very clearly see where the fenced-in area used to end, right here on this wall. You can see the moss and weeds growing out of the bricks in the older part. You may also notice up there is some room left between Duane and Greg. Perhaps the other 2 original members of the band will one day end up here as well. Be interesting to see as time goes by if the bushes will grow around the rest of the fence and behind the graves of Butch and Greg.
Unfortunately, we don't have time on this trip, but eventually we plan to come back here to check out the many Allman Brother related areas of the cemetery and to check out other parts of the cemetery as well. It is a beautiful cemetery with a train track right below it, which is another spot where the band took a famous picture. We'll have more Allman Brothers stories coming up soon, and we hope you all will check it out.
We'll put a link down there below when we put them out. Y'all be sure to hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you can come along with us on future adventures.
Come along.